with key leadership, we worked really hard to find the best person, go through a process, and stick with the discipline of it. We took this process incredibly seriously, and I won't get into the timeline now. We can talk about it later, but it was really, really important. And the criteria for me were really, really simple. The appointee for this position needs to represent us, the people. They have to have the values and ideology that's really important to all Nebraskans. Have to have a servant's heart for public service because of our kids. Really important that the appointee believes in less government and fiscal accountability. Need a lot of help at the federal level. Really important that the appointee is a person of incredible faith, God-fearing like almost all Nebraskans. It's really important that the appointee has the courage to stand up and defend us and believe in how important Nebraska's safety is and our nation's safety. It couldn't maybe more critical than any time in our history. And it's really important that the appointee knows what drives this state, agriculture. We are the breadbasket of the world. There's nobody that feeds people in the world better than we do here in Nebraska. The bad news is we can't eat it all. And so we need help to make sure together we can find markets and open markets everywhere in the world. There's not a market that doesn't deserve Nebraska's production. And then lastly, it's really, really important. It's really, really important that this appointee knows Nebraska really well. And I think that I just finished describing why it was very, very obvious once we went through the process. We opened applications for this in early December 8 and closed in December 23rd. We had 111 applicants, and we went through an interview process of interviewing 9 candidates. And it was an extraordinary, great Nebraska people that brought lots to the party, but it was clear the person for the job is Senator-designate Pete Ricketts. Thank you, Pete.
Well, thank you very much. Jim, where'd you go? Right there. Thank you very much, Jim. I very much appreciate the appointment, and I was proud to support you in your campaign. I've been very impressed with what you've done so far with regard to your administration in just a short few days. And I know that Governor Pillen is going to do a fantastic job and do great things for the state of Nebraska. And I'm very grateful for this unexpected opportunity to be able to continue to serve the people of Nebraska. I also want to thank Senator Sass for his service. He has been a conservative voice in Washington, D.C., and especially when it comes to making sure we have conservative judges on the federal bench, and especially in the U.S. Supreme Court. That has been fantastic, and I wish him well. The opportunity, one of America's premier higher educational institutions, the University of Florida, and it's great to be going to be having somebody with a conservative voice in higher education. So I wish Senator Sass well. I also want to thank Senator Fisher. Senator Fisher has been a fierce advocate for Nebraska agriculture, which Governor Pillen already said is an important thing for our state here in Nebraska. She's also been a terrific partner over the last 8 years. Deb and I have been friends for a long time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to learn from you and to work with you once we get to Washington, D.C. So thank you very much for all your help over the last few years, and I look forward to continuing to seek your help as we're in D.C., so thank you very much for that. I'd also like to thank all of our colleagues that are gathered around us here today. Many are either constitutional officers I've worked with or state senators I've worked with or folks I know along the way who I haven't had the opportunity to work with because they're new state senators. But I just want to say thank you all for being here today, for your show of support, and for all the great work that I know that you're going to be doing for the people of Nebraska in this legislative session. So thank you very much as well. And then last but not least, I want, and this is most important, thank my wife Suzanne. My wife Suzanne, and then my son Roscoe is here as well, and my two daughters who cannot be here. One cannot be in this business without the support of your family, and my wife and my children have been tremendously supportive as I've gone through campaigns and being governor, and will certainly be alongside me as we go on this next venture here. So thank you very much, honey, for all your love and support. You're the best, so thanks very much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I often say Nebraska is what America is supposed to be. And it's never been truer at any time in our history than today. When we think about all the opportunity that we have here in our state, the jobs that are available, our high-quality institutions of education, and what we have done here in state government in my administration over the last 8 years was show how can we make government work for the people. You know, we focused on making sure Nebraskans would spend less time, standing in line, waiting on hold, or filling out forms. We improved it, whether it was making it so it's faster to get a driver's license or a permit, or making it easier in our economic assistance line. In all those ways, we showed that government can work. That's what I intend to bring to Washington, D.C. The experience that we had here in Nebraska and what makes this such a special place, and bringing that to Washington, D.C. There's a fallacy in Washington, D.C. that government can't work and we have to expect failure. But that's not true. We proved that it's not true here in Nebraska. We need to hold Washington, D.C. accountable for making sure they're providing the same level of high service that we do here at state government. And for the things that we're properly supposed to do them really, really well, just like we did here in Nebraska. We've got to hold Washington, D.C. accountable for the waste and the fraud, and make sure that we're running government more like a business, just like we've done here in Nebraska. We also have to have a strong national defense. That's one of the key things our federal government is supposed to do for us. We've got to make sure that we're pushing back upon some of the threats like the Chinese Communist Party. We've done that here in Nebraska. In fact, I was the first governor to ban TikTok on state devices back in August of 2020. So we've been pushing back on the CCP, and we need to continue to have that strong policy in Washington, D.C. as well to make sure we have a strong nation. These are some of the things that I want to pursue in Washington, D.C. to make sure we continue to have the best place in the world. We're going to fight for our freedoms, the free enterprise system, the things that have made this state great and our country great, just like we've done here in Nebraska and how we protected it. And just like we've gotten through the disasters we've had here, whether it was the floods or the pandemic, we're going to work with our state partners to be able to make sure our states can have the proper response. Again, we demonstrated that here in Nebraska on how to do that. We want to take the things that we've done here and bring them to D.C. so that we can continue to have the greatest nation the world has ever seen. I am excited about the opportunities to work with my soon-to-be colleague, Deb Fischer, who has fought for these same ideals in Washington, D.C., to add my voice to hers on how we can fight for our conservative values, make sure that we continue to have a strong free enterprise system that has created the wonderful opportunities this country has had. This is an unexpected opportunity. I am humbled and grateful for the great responsibility that Governor Pillen has given for me, and I look forward to continuing to serve the people of Nebraska. Thank you all very much for being here today, and again, I want to thank all the folks who have been here to support me. I look forward to serving the people of Nebraska, and I won't let you down. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Governor Pillen.
Thank you, Senator-elect Ricketts. And Suzanne, thank you for saying yes. Extraordinary commitment, and you've had all of a week off to relax.
Oh, I know.
My Suzanne would say, I'm ready to send him on. That was plenty of time. Let me get serious for a minute. The next person that I'm going to introduce,
When you were doing the interviews with the 9 different candidates or reading through those 100 applications, were there any others that came close to the experience of former Governor Ricketts, or just what was it about his that set him apart?
well, we had 9 folks, 9 Nebraskans that we interviewed, and each one have had distinguished careers in all different, in public service and in business, and they each touched me about their pure heart and desire for public service and make a difference for Nebraska. This was a very, very hard decision, and some I've known for a long time. Only in Nebraska can we have 111 applicants and 9 incredible Nebraskans to interview, to serve, and because this is rigorous. And ultimately, the timing of this is very, very rigorous. And my belief in not a placeholder and my belief in seniority being really, really important, running statewide elections and winning statewide elections in 24 and 26 is rigorous and demanding. And ultimately, that was a big separator. The other thing that in the seniority, and we talked, I hoed really close to the cornstalk. And Governor Ricketts assured me that no matter who calls for a different job, he is committed to the United States Senate. No matter who calls him to become a vice president of the United States, who calls him to become secretary.
Very flattering, thank you.
Thank you. We are Nebraska, right? We are Nebraska. Who calls to be Secretary of State or any other thing, he's committed to this seat, and he and Suzanne have committed to winning elections and at a minimum of 10 years. I'm praying it's going to be longer than that, and you're going to love it there, Suzanne. So those were important things. Yes.
Back to the Associated Press.
Thank you.
I'd ask you if you can address criticisms that have been made that this looks a bit like backroom dealing, given the fact that.
I'm sorry, could you start over? I just couldn't hear that.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.